And I'm back. I don't know why it just kicked me off. It's done this several times. I don't know if it's my internet or what, and now I just threw my marker somewhere. I was doing that when I'm on live streams. I'm like throwing my markers everywhere. All right, get a new other one. Okay, so I'm back. Here we're talking about myths about abuse and when a marriage should be saved and when it should not. Don't know why it just kicked me off, but I'm back. So, all right, so we're just talking about when it should not is in the instances of physical and sexual abuse. That if you or someone that you know is in this type of situation, they need to get into a healthy and safe situation as quickly as possible. And a marriage should not be saved when there is this kind of current abuse going on. So again, my heart goes out to you if you are in that situation. And I have to talk to people every week and let them know this. Hey, Jacob, good to see you. So when it should not be saved, physical and sexual abuse. Now note, I did not put emotional abuse on here, okay? That's not to say that there isn't emotional abuse. However, this goes into a little bit of the gray area, okay? I'm gonna put it here. The gray area between should not be saved, and yes, it should be saved. This term emotional abuse, I feel, is thrown around too lightly, okay? Basically, almost anyone in a challenging situation in their marriage is going to emotionally abuse each other, all right? We're going to hurt each other's feelings. We're going to say things that we don't mean. We're going to hurt our partner to the core, and they're going to hurt us to the core. So any marriage that is on the rocks could make a claim that they're being emotionally abused. However, the abuse is usually going on both sides, okay? So yes, there is emotional abuse. However, that alone is not usually enough of a reason to end a marriage, okay? That's not a reason for it should end. There are very, very extreme cases of emotional abuse where it should. And we look at those, Mark and I, point by point on a case-by-case study. But we do see that people throw around this term of emotional abuse way too lightly without understanding what it really is, okay? So hoping I'm kind of bringing this all home here. Now, what types of situations can and should be saved? 99.5% of the marriages that we see should be saved. Can they be saved? We'll get to that later. Should they be saved? They should, right? Because they do not actually fall into this category of physical or sexual abuse. They may fall into this category of emotional abuse and some other things going on. So, bottom line, we help people with borderline. We actually have clients right now, borderline personality disorder, okay? We're helping a couple right now, bipolar. And I have no idea how to spell narcissist, so forgive me for that. If someone could put it in the chat, I'd appreciate it. Narcissist, something like that. Narcissist. This is another buzzword that we hear a lot, and people rarely understand what that actually is. They say, oh, my spouse is a narcissist. And all the time, they're putting all the blame on that person, not understanding that they themselves are a narcissist. Pretty much humans, we're all narcissists, almost always. We're almost always thinking about ourselves because that's the nature of being human. We are concerned about our own self-preservation, right? However, that doesn't mean it's a healthy situation, but it doesn't mean that it should not be saved. There's a difference there, okay? We can be in very unhealthy situations, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be saved or it shouldn't be made healthy. Again, going back here, there are only a couple that should not, and that's physical, sexual abuse. All these other ones, narcissist, okay? Depression, anxiety. I'm not the best handwriter. Narcissist, depression, anxiety, alcoholism. I think I'm spelling it right. Addiction. This includes drug, pornography, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Poor communication, shutting people out, stonewalling, any kind of negative, unhealthy behavior should be saved. Okay. Does that make sense? So what do you feel like is the percentage of marriages that should be saved? Put it in the chat. because I gave you the answer a little bit ago. If you're paying attention, you know what that is. But I'd love to hear from you guys what you think. What is the percentage of marriages that should be saved? Okay. Oftentimes, one of the great myths is that if any of these are happening, a marriage should not be saved because it's not a healthy situation. That's simply not true. Okay. Yes, it is not a healthy situation. So what we need to do is make it a healthy situation. Now that goes to the next point of, can a marriage be saved? So I'm going to put it down here. Can it be saved? There's only two reasons indicators of a marriage that most likely cannot be saved. Okay. The first is no communication. So if you have absolutely no communication, I'm talking zero communication. One of you lives on the other side of the world, someone's in prison, or you just have absolutely no communication whatsoever. If you communicate with your spouse, even once or twice a week, even if it's about surface level stuff, the kids, business, finances, anything like that, if you have some level of communication, your marriage can be saved, right? What we need to do is optimize that communication and make it as effective as possible to draw our spouse back to us in the ways that we teach in our restoration equation. Now, the second one of if it can be saved, when it cannot. Okay, so this is not, right? Cannot be saved. So no communication. And the other one is future plans with another partner. Future plans with someone else. And even that, there's a huge glare there, sorry. Yeah, I've got my window open, there's a huge glare there. So future plans with someone else. And even there is some gray area because like we brought on our client, Leah Deerdorf-Smith, who's been very wonderful about sharing her experience. Her husband was in an active affair and was making future plans to leave her and go live with this other woman, and we were still able to help her. However, that does become a much bigger roadblock. If they're getting, if they're engaged, making wedding plans, having children together, all those things make it much more difficult that a marriage can be saved. Should it be saved? Absolutely. Can it be saved? There's some challenges there, right? And so that's why it's really crucial that you get the help that you need to know what you can and cannot do, and what you should and should not do, because understand, these are very emotional, challenging situations. So I'm going to bring this home, relating it to when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, right? Should my life have been preserved? Yes. Could it be preserved? That was up to me. That was up to me getting the help that I needed to, right? There were some people that said, no, your life should not be saved because this kind of condition is too extreme. You have stage 3, stage 4 cancer, and you're pregnant, and all of these things. So what I was actually facing was a very challenging situation, just like these, very challenging situation. But with the right help, the right support, and the right mindset behind it all, it could be solved. It was not an unsolvable situation. It just was a very challenging situation. And so that's what Mark and I do. We take challenging situations. We say that we're the ICU unit for marriages. ICU unit, oh my goodness. ICU of marriages. And we take those cases that other people won't. They will not take someone if only one partner is willing to work on it and the other isn't. Many other counselors and coaches and even pastors out there won't say that that could be a marriage that could be saved. We absolutely know that it can, and we see it happen every single day. And so what it all comes down to when I'm talking about, should a marriage be saved? Yes. Can it be saved? There's a couple different conditions there. So if you can say, yes, my marriage should be saved, because even though it's a very challenging situation, it is a solvable situation. Can my marriage be saved? Yes, we have communication, and no, they're not making intense future plans with someone else. Pass that check. Most marriages do. Most marriages pass both those checks. Now, those are the marriages that should be saved. And the reason why I'm bringing all of this home is coming back to my live stream that I did in the Thriving Marriage last week about limiting beliefs. And what happens is if we don't face those things inside of ourselves, the same story will repeat itself again and again and again. And we see that when one person gets out of an unhealthy relationship, right? Bad communication, not getting needs met, and they step right into another one. And the cycle continues to repeat itself. So I invite you to go back and look at that live stream I did about the limiting beliefs. Now, what needs to happen here in order for a marriage to really be saved is that healthy boundaries need to be set. All right. If there's any of this kind of narcissistic, unhealthy behavior going on, unhealthy communication, name calling, blaming, stonewalling, shutting out, abuse, addiction, not abuse, sorry, addiction. Abuse is over here. I said the wrong word. Okay. Can you tell I spend most of my day with toddlers? Anyway, addiction, alcoholism, anything over here, these are the instances where we need to get to work and do the right things, right? And solve those problems. Otherwise, if we don't, they're going to continue to repeat themselves. So bottom line is that if that's happening, you need to establish healthy boundaries. So Mark and I last week did a wonderful live stream. I say it's wonderful because I was part of it. And we put together a free guide called Healthy Boundaries. It's the anatomy of a healthy boundary. And we break it down into the 4 elements that must exist to have a healthy boundary. If you're in this kind of situation, we want to get you to a healthy place. And it is possible. You have to do the work. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have to pattern interrupt, and you're above all going to have to look deep into yourself, into what is there driving this whole thing. Like, what is that root issue? And again, I invite you to go back and look at the limiting beliefs live stream, because if you have a limiting belief, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm afraid of failure, I'm always going to be hurt, then that is going to play out in this story time and time again. And that's why you should save your marriage. If that's what's going on, you absolutely should. That is not abuse. That is a challenging but solvable situation. All right. And then final thing here, I want to pull this up real quick, is that we have our restoring hope. Because if you're in a very challenging situation, what is in your control, I did a live stream on this a little bit a while ago, the 3 areas of control. What is in your control is the presence and the mindset that you bring to that challenging situation. I was just on the phone last week with a dear friend of my family's who is diagnosed with cancer, and she was like distraught beyond belief, completely believing her life was over. And if you meet a challenge with that kind of mindset, what are the possibilities of success, right? Your mind and your energy have taken you down a road, and you almost basically sealed your fate, the self-fulfilling prophecy. And that is tragic to me. That is the reason why I felt pulled to help people with these kind of limiting beliefs, the things that are holding them back in their lives and keeping them stuck in the same pain year after year. When really what it is that own internal belief of, I can't do this, I'm not strong enough, this isn't solvable, right? And anything else that gets in your way, that big rock that's preventing you from moving forward. Instead of focusing on that rock, let's get rid of the rock or move around the rock so that you can have freedom to move where you want to go. Oh, this is the wrong one. So we need to restore that hope. And I hear a little friend is coming. And so we also have another guide that we put together, help your spouse want to work on the marriage, and the 4 elements to restoring hope so that you can start to heal and move toward that healthy situation. So if you haven't had a chance to grab either of these free guides yet, let me know. We have the healthy boundaries. So if you want that one, put in the chat boundaries and I'll send that right over to you. And our other one is help my spouse want to work on the marriage with me. So put the word hope and I'll send that one over to you. So I hope that this helps. I hope this gives some clarity and some understanding of what abuse really is and what it is not. When a marriage should be saved and when it should not. When a marriage can be saved and when it cannot. And the power and ability that you have to meet challenging but solvable situations with power, with grace, and with success. So I appreciate you all. And if you need any help with any of this, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always there to support you in any way that I can. You guys have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.